On another exciting entry of Animation Deliberation, the time has come. The Spider-Verse has returned. We are giving our instant reaction to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. We're going to get right into that after this. Sing along if you know the words. A 1, 2, 3, it's time for Animation Deliberation. A conversation and a celebration of our favorite action animated series. Yeah. Welcome to Animation Deliberation, the podcast where we take action animation and cartoons seriously, but not too seriously. My name is J Scotty St. Clair, and today I am very excited to be joined by a friend of the show, someone I've wanted to have on the show for a long time. It is the host of the wonderful Captain Game
I'm doing
Show,
great.
Mr. John
I have
Irons. Hey, John, how you doing?
listened to you sing that song many, many times, but it is truly a different experience to see it, to witness it live, just to see it happen. Great.
It's been one of those things. I've tried to work with some musicians to see if we can get some background music made, and I actually used Fiverr to get this guy to lay some drums, but I just need to work on my vocal timing and figure out how exactly to get that uploaded to our recording software and whatnot. But I'm glad that it still entertains. I try to keep it fresh, and I love doing it, so I'm glad people enjoy it. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to bury the lead here because I know people are excited to hear about Across the Spider-Verse. But one more thing, one of my favorite things is when you sent us your rendition of the I Am Groot to the tune of Animation Deliberation. That was wonderful. So, yeah, good. I'm so glad. All right, so we're here to talk about Across the Spider-Verse. This is your spoiler warning. I don't really want to tiptoe around spoilers too much. If you find yourself able to, if you want to give like maybe just a quick reaction to avoid spoilers, to give people maybe like a little bit of a window so they can just hear our initial thoughts and then dip out. But I don't want to dilly-dally too much.
I'll give a quick spoiler-free review. I thought it was great.
Sure.
I am on record. Into the Spider-Verse is one of my favorite movies. I think it's a practically perfect film. So, I mean, I expected good things, but it was kind of a hard act to follow. And I avoid spoilers, of course, but I avoid trailers. Like the less I know going into a movie, the better.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a lot of great surprises in this, and I don't know if you guys do like a rating scale, but pretty much I'm gonna say like a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, nice. Yeah, likewise, I'm pretty high on this one. I really enjoy that Into the Spider-Verse, the first one, and this, like you said, it was going to be a tough act to follow, but my expectations were pretty high, and somehow this film exceeded my expectations. If that first film like pushed the envelope, like this one reinvented the envelope. If the first one was cutting edge, this one was bleeding edge. Like it was just, I feel like all my dopamine and serotonin was like used during this experience because it was just such a visual treat. And you brought up the trailers. I did watch all the trailers that came out for it, and I thought it was an excellent job in terms of the marketing. It teased some things, but I was really impressed with the level of restraint there. Like they showcased the Spider-Verse and a lot of the spider people we were going to be exposed to, but it really did not give that much away in terms of the story, and I found myself engaged the entire time, like not feeling like I had seen any of this before. So
because we were planning when to see it. Like, okay, well maybe we'll see it Friday, maybe we'll see it Sunday. And I was like, hey, actually, you know what? I think I can take the kids to see it tonight. And I was like, how long is this movie? Like, this movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes long. It's like a real movie. It's not like a kids movie. And you don't like. I did not feel the 2 hours and 15 minutes. It went fast. It was like, I mean, bumping up against the spoiler without spoiling. When it ended, I was like, that's the ending.
Yeah.
I was not prepared.
Yeah. I was prepared, and I was actually I was a little surprised. I guess not very surprised, but when I was leaving the theater, I heard some of the people that I saw the movie with, their reactions. They were like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting to end on such a cliffhanger." And I guess I knew, just like having paid close attention to like the announcements surrounding this movie and knowing some of the things about the production.
Yeah,
It was marketed
that I
as
do remember.
Across the
Yeah.
Spider-Verse Part 1 for a long time, and then they changed the title. Yeah, yeah. So I wasn't too surprised. But
Mhm.
you mentioned your kids, and we can just get into spoilers now. And I am curious about what your kids thought about it, because like the first one I felt like did such a great job between entertaining the kids and having a lot of humor and heart and being like a coming of age story. And I've been on record as kind of saying like I felt that first one was kind of like a deconstruction of the character of Spider-Man while it introduced Miles, but
Mhm.
was also like a celebration of the legacy of Spider-Man. While this one actually really felt like it was thrusting Miles' story and his journey forward now that he is like Spider-Man in his own right. And um, to that end, it was a lot darker than the first one for sure. It definitely had comedy, but overall the tone was a lot darker, and especially with that cliffhanger ending. So I'm curious what your
I didn't
kids thought
get
about it.
a
What,
like a full review. I just the quick, hey, did you guys like it? They both really liked it. My kids
okay,
are 9 and 12,
sure,
and
okay,
my older
okay,
child, my daughter, they both watch a lot of YouTube, right? So she's like, okay, I have a theory. I'm like, okay, wait, is this a theory
okay.
or is this something that you know from watching you? It's like, no, no, it's just a theory. Um, and I'm not gonna say
uh,
what it was, but she called it. She was correct. It was about the
no,
origin of the spider,
oh, okay,
uh, which she said
okay,
she didn't know. I'm gonna take her at her word. Um, but yeah, it was because they
okay,
they you know they love the original as much as I do, and you are I'm definitely gonna co-sign
yeah,
the darker tone. Like you can see physically that Miles is older. Like I think you said like a year and a half older. So
oh, sure,
he's several inches taller. He's leaned out. Like he's an older guy, and just in terms of the way the movie presented,
hmm,
like the first one. Not that the first one was a kids movie, but this one does have more mature.
sure,
It doesn't. I was gonna say it doesn't pull any punches. Like the first one, kind of. I mean, it's just. I don't even know how to talk about it, which is probably the worst thing to say on a animation discussion podcast.
no, well,
But no, yeah, it's
no, no,
really
it's all good. I
it was way more sophisticated than I thought it was gonna be. I guess probably the way that's what I'm
sure.
thinking.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of picked up on a note of melancholy a little bit, especially with like the revelations. Like you mentioned your daughter calling the origin of the spider, and I did a rewatch of the first one like the night before. I went and saw this one, and it did kind of like stick out to me just how much they
Hmm.
broadcasted like the 42. And obviously at the time I didn't really know what to make of that. Like I knew it was from another dimension, but I just
Right.
didn't expect for it to factor into the plot that much. And I thought that was great. And there's like some existentialism there. Like Miles was never supposed to be Spider-Man, and he's like kind of by extension responsible for
Yeah.
Peter's death, and
He-
someone tells him just as much. I think Miguel tells him like if your Peter Parker hadn't had to save you, he'd still be alive, and like that's tough. And it really worked in tandem very nicely with the speech his mother gave him about like no matter where you go, no matter what you see, the places
mhm.
you go, the people you interact with, know that you belong. Like take care of that kid. And I thought that was a great through line. Like the story did end on a cliffhanger, but at least we had that as kind of
Yeah,
a
it
satisfying
is on a
story beat that
cliffhanger,
seemed to come full
but
circle.
they set up. Oh, like the people in my theater were pissed. Like, oh yeah, they were cussing.
Oh, were
They
they?
they were not happy, and it wasn't everybody, but it was a lot of people. It's this woman lady was like, "I don't get my effing money back." Like, lady,
Uh-huh.
and both my kids were like, initially they were kind of pissed. I was like, okay, let me remind you how Avengers
Okay.
Infinity War ended. Thanos won. He dusted everybody. That was the end of the movie. It's like,
Sure.
yeah, but it's different. It's not different.
Yeah.
I guarantee there's going to be another
Right.
movie, and
Yeah.
the good Spider-Man are going to win. But
Yeah, yeah, and we didn't get a post-credit scene, which I was completely okay with the way it
mhm.
ended. Like we did get that little tag about Miles Morales will return in Beyond the Spider-Verse, but You
Yeah.
mentioned not feeling the runtime and the pacing being really great, and I completely agree with you. It was pretty much nonstop. If it wasn't information that we were receiving, it was just tantalizing action sequences and like the same with the first one. Like you could pause any frame of this film and like frame that and put it on your wall, and it would be a beautiful piece of art. But what I did find interesting was that I think we've got like a good 15, 20 minutes into the runtime. I never stopped to look at my clock or anything like that because I was engaged, but
Hmm.
it's a good chunk of time before we even see Miles again. We
Yeah.
really focus on Gwen Stacy and get to see her backstory, which we got snippets of in the first one, but to see it actually play out, and I thought that worked really well to have her kind of be the conduit to introduce this like elite Spider Verse squad, and then instead of it like starting with Miles and her having to catch him up, it was like let's just introduce it, get you more endeared to this character, really be able to feel for her as much as you feel for Miles, and just like set up this concept.
Yeah, I
I
wasn't
thought it was
expecting
great.
that at all, and I also thought it was great. And it took me a while. This is one of the reasons that I love the original, and it's one of the reasons that I'm pretty sure I'm going to love the this one as much, if not more. It is so packed
Hmm.
with it's not even Easter eggs. It's just so well thought out. It's such a well crafted film. Like just
Mm.
little things. Like uh, it-
Yeah.
it- okay, one of my favorite scenes in the first one is they're escaping from um, Alchemex. Is that the name of it? Yeah,
Oh
and
yeah, when
and and uh,
Olivia Octavius is chasing them.
and he hits the guy in the head with the
Okay.
bagel, and it makes a little sound effect that says bagel. Great,
Yes.
and it's a it's a blink and you'll miss it kind of moment, and these films are full of that too. This film is full of that too, and in the opening, in the intro,
Yeah.
it starts off on in Gwen Stacy's world, and
Uh
it's
huh.
similar enough to Miles's world that you don't necessarily pick up on it right away, but the art style is different. The background is different. The way they move is different. The way they're animated is different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know that intellectually because
Right.
Anime Chick was anime, and you know Peter Porker was like Looney Tunes,
Right.
but all of that
Cartoony.
still happened
Yeah.
in Miles's world. And in this one, we actually go to different Earths,
Mm-hmm.
and you see the different animation styles happen there. And they fight a guy
Right.
from like the Renaissance, Vulture, the Da Vinci Vulture. I mean,
Yeah.
it is infinitely creative. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. With Gwen Stacy's universe, I really felt
Mhm.
like it had like a watercolor painterly feel. Like in one thing I really picked up on was like the emotion or the sentiment that was being
Yes.
expressed was expressed through like cold colors or warm colors. When characters were distant from each other and feeling isolated, you had a cold color palette, and then when they
Yeah.
embraced,
Me
everything
too.
got warmer. And like I'm actually getting goosebumps right now
And
thinking about that
they would
because
like the
it
colors
was
would
so
literally
wonderful. Yeah.
radiate out from their bodies, and you'd see the background slowly melt. Like it's
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
said, like you could freeze it, and it's a piece of
Yeah.
art. And the way they like, I
Yeah.
mean, so
Yeah.
when they go to the hub of Spider People, and full disclosure, there's probably about 3 minutes of the
Hmm.
film that I didn't see because, as I said, 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I had a 9-year-old son, so somebody had to take a quick break. Not even mad at
Oh,
it.
sure. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Do
it
you
was right
remember
after
around
they
what point it
had
was?
saved the captain, or right after Miles had saved the captain. In was it
Okay. Okay.
Mumbaiton, Mumbaiton? Yeah.
Mumbatan,
And
Mumbai,
they're like, okay,
Manhattan.
well,
Yeah,
now we need to
Mumbatan.
definitely
Yeah.
go talk to. We need to go talk to the big boss. And so they were just about to portal and take Miles with them.
Oh,
And when
okay.
I came back, he was kind of getting the tour. So I don't think I missed much in terms of.
Okay. Okay. Well,
I mean, obviously, I don't know what I didn't see, but I don't think I missed much in terms of story. I'm sure I missed a ton of Easter eggs.
yeah, there was like a 2, 3 minute sequence where you just get there's a Spider-Man from this universe, there's a Spider-Woman from this universe, there's a Spider-Person from this universe, and
Yes.
they mentioned the PS4 game. You saw his roommate playing it on the PlayStation earlier, but then they're
Oh,
like, we
that's
got a
great.
video game guy, and it's that version of Spider-Man. But one of my favorite. So when the Spot was, first figuring out the extent of his powers, and he visited like
Yes.
Venom's world, and you saw the lady that owns the bodega, I thought that was great. But they just got better and better. Like when you saw Donald Glover as
So
Aaron
good.
Davis as the Prowler, like
Right?
that was I
And
chef's
it's,
kiss. That was so
they
good.
referenced, it's like, yeah, and there was this don't even get me started on Doctor Strange and the nerd kid from Earth 616 wreaking havoc in
Oh
the
right.
multiverse. I'm like, it's I love
Yeah.
this. I, I love, because I'm also on record as
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
canon is stupid. That the idea of canon is stupid because, like,
Sure.
people get to tell stories, and once you tell a story and you're just locked into that being the way that it is forever, like you do the world a disservice. But
Sure.
it's like they embrace the idea that canon is stupid, but also it's also their religion. Like
Mm.
it's done so well that canon is like, because they,
Yeah.
not they necessarily recognize their fictional characters, but because they are these characters, canon is real.
Hmm.
Like it really is canon. It's their life. It is their lives. It is this is
Sure.
the life of their universe.
Yeah.
Universe
Yeah.
is the multiverse, and in
Yeah.
some ways, it is similar to a lot of the other multiverse stuff that we've seen in the past couple of years. But
Right.
it's also a different take, in that we, the audience, know, because we know the story of Peter Parker, we know the story of Spider-Man, Spider People. There's always a radioactive spider. There's
Right.
always, a beloved caretaker person who has to die. There's always great power, great responsibility. There's always big
Hmm.
eyes on the costume. Like, there's
Right.
some things, some things that just are built into the story,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
them not only acknowledging that, but forcing it to play out so that Spider People can happen. It
Yeah.
is a moral
Yeah.
ambiguity and consequence and that's what I mean by more sophisticated. Like, that's like it's a real question. Like, who's right?
Sure.
Like, he's Miguel isn't wrong. Like,
Right.
this stuff is his fault.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He is the original anomaly. Yeah. And yeah, I kind of love that as well. Like I agree with you that like it had a lot in common with a lot of the multiverse stories we've seen, but it almost how do I want to say this? I so like if you look at something like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, or even like Spider-Man No Way Home, like they embrace the multiverse, but it's still very much beholden to the narrative and the continuity that they have there. Whereas this one, I feel like it's just kind of like busting the doors open. I think it almost has more in keeping with something like Lego
Yes.
Batman, which is just like hyper aware of the fact that like this is a franchise. And I think that makes sense with Lord and Miller. Like they didn't direct
Yeah.
Lego Batman, but they were still very much involved with its production. And yeah, the fact that they call like them canon events, I feel like it was like thinking about like the Loki series, how we had Nexus events there, and it's like we're taking
Right.
Nexus events to like the next level and
And
calling them canon events.
and as you were talking, I kind of thought of a better way to articulate it. Like they do.
Sure.
It's like they represent both camps. Like, the Miguel is like, the canon is sacred.
Mm,
It's, I don't know. Some of you guys might be
yeah.
nerds. I don't know. Nerds, geeks, fans to the extreme. Uh, the
Yeah.
canon is important.
Uh
And
huh.
Miles is like, no, canon's not important. This is my life. I get to write a new story.
Yeah.
And so they literally have like a physical
For
representation of that
sure.
debate on screen. It's just chef's kiss.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you took the opportunity to articulate that better, because I think that really just does speak to the character of Miles Morales. Like that's who he was as a comic book character. Like we knew Peter Parker as Spider-Man for so long, and then the creator's escaping my memory right now. Brian.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to pull it, but the creator, like, it was just like, no, Spider-Man does not, and that's what the first film said too. Anyone can wear the mask, and just like, yeah, uh, like I kind of said, just like blew the doors wide open on what it means to be Spider-Man. And yeah, I agree with what you said. Like, that's who Miles is. He is not going to go with the status quo. He's going to buck against that and forge
Brian
his own
Michael
path, which I
Bendis.
think is great. Uh,
Yep.
Brian Michael
Don't
Bendis.
thank
There it
me.
is. Thank
Thank
you,
Google.
sir. Thank you for looking that up. Yeah. Thank you, Google. um, but another thing that kind
Mm,
of came to mind is you mentioned the bagel, and I love that they, like, the Spot himself was like, "I was
yeah.
the scientist that you hit with the bagel." Like, that was so great. Like, I made me really happy that I rewatched the movie so recently, because like with this one, like we said, like, never a dull moment. I feel like that was the same as the first one. Like, there's always something to pay attention to, and it just begs rewatches, and like, that's what makes them so rewatchable. They're so entertaining, and there's so much to catch. And this is one I'm definitely going to have
Yeah.
to see a few more times. I'm going to see it at least once more in theaters for sure, but it's going to be
Absolutely.
a day one purchase
As
when it
was the
becomes
last one for
available.
me.
Because yeah, I
I
just
also like that.
sure. Oh yeah, definitely,
Crap, I just
definitely.
lost what I was going to say. Feel free to cut all this part out. um, oh, okay. I also liked that the Spider-Man No Way Home. Um, you kind of had to. I mean, obviously, you didn't have to, but to fully reap the benefits, you had to have seen the other Spider-Man movies, right? This one,
Sure, sure.
those movies are included, but it's so many iterations of Spider-Man. It's like every iteration of Spider-Man. It's the if you watch the '60s cartoon, if you watched
Hmm.
like two or three different ones of like the Marvel cartoons, from the '90s and 2000s. If you read the comics, if you saw
Sure.
those movies, if you saw the MCU movies, like Lego, the video game, you know,
Hmm.
there is
Yeah.
if you're a fan of Spider-Man and have seen some Spider-Man before this, then one of your Spider people is in there. Oh
Yeah.
man, I loved Spider Woman, Jessica Drew, and I think
Oh yeah.
I
Right.
wasn't quite spoiled on that. I knew that people were mad about it, but I didn't know what they were mad about because I didn't read the story. And they're like, "Oh no, she's black now." I'm like, "Well, okay,
Okay.
yes, and
Oh, okay.
there is a multiverse of Spider people. That's the point. The one that you know from the comic book isn't this one. This is a
Right.
different one. Like I don't
Yeah.
like how is this the one? You
Right.
can accept
Yeah.
black and white Spider Man. You can accept
And
Art Deco Spider Man, but heaven forbid.
yeah, yeah. People love their fandoms and they want to get protective over them, but I definitely am a proponent of the fact that, like, some criticism is valid and some is not, and I just think that's an instance where it's not. Just kind of get over it. And if you really do want to, like, uh, nitpick, her name is Jess Drew, not Jessica Drew, so it doesn't
Also
have to
true.
be your Jessica Drew from comics if you don't want it to be. But yeah, I thought she was great. I loved Issa Rae. With the first one, I love the
Hmm.
Spider people we got in that one, and it was nice to see Penny again. But I was kind of a little worried as we were getting towards the end. I was like, oh no, are we not going to see Spider Man Noir? Are we not going to see Spider Ham? And it was so nice to see them again at the end there. But they gave us a bunch of new ones to love, like
Yes.
David Kaluuya as Hobie Brown, Spider Punk. He was great. I loved his attitude, the anarchist bent, and the fact that, like, we talked about the different art styles, but he was done in this, like, propaganda, like, kind of like
Yeah.
haphazard, like, always changing bold outlines. Like, he was great, and I did have a hard time understanding him initially, but once my ear got kind of attuned to his accent, I was like, okay, I'm tracking now. This is great.
I
And
love the little
yeah,
word captions at the bottom of the screen. Just again, just like a comic book, little extra
uh-huh.
bit of information like this character appeared in so and so.
Yeah.
So good. I already want to see it again. Like
Yeah.
I'm seeing it
Yeah.
again on Sunday. I'm like I might see it again on Saturday.
Oh, nice. Right on. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna see it again, and probably sometime this weekend. I'll have to take a look to see what seating availability looks like and whatnot, and see if I can bring a friend because I want everyone to see this. So we agreed to kind of keep this one on the shorter side. I also, want to leave plenty for my co-host to talk about. I know they were very excited to see this one as well and to talk about it, but wanted to get something out to the listeners as soon as possible. So we just did this instant reaction. I'll open up the floor to you if you had anything else you wanted to say about it, any standout
Uh,
moments, any favorite characters that we haven't brought up
I
yet.
really like. I like that they showed so much of Miles's parents most of the time, and it's a
Oh
trope
yeah.
that I kind of hate. Well, I don't really hate it. I've just come to accept it. But um, the if a
Hmm.
younger person is having some adventure, the parents are generally clueless and not really participating. Um, and
Hmm.
these parents are clueless because he's actively hiding them from he's hiding it from them. But they're not
Hmm.
like inattentive parents. They're like, no, I know something's going on. You need to tell us what's going on. Like it's a major
Hmm.
plot point, and it's a major plot point when he does reveal it, and
Yeah.
it doesn't land because there's no spider. Like I don't know what Spider Man is because they don't have a Spider Man.
Right.
Um, oh, you know what? I will.
Right.
This will be the last thing
Yeah.
I'll say about it, and how well thought out these films are.
Okay.
Again, the first one is one of my favorite movies, and in the original one,
Hmm.
he gets bitten, and he's like, no, 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 this can't be what I think it is. He pokes a spider, and it glitches. It actually glitches, and I had
Right.
always taken that to like, okay, well,
Right.
my head canon was okay, well, it's dead, and it's got like the invisibility power, and this is a very artsy film. I figured it was just a
Hmm.
an artistic approach to show dramatic effect. But no, it actually glitches because it's glitching because it's
Hmm.
from another dimension. So wonderfully done. Excellent, excellent
Right.
touch.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of great callbacks, lots of great continuity, and it rewards those who have, loved the first one and watched it so many times. I did, as you were kind of talking about that, it made me think how they reused the joke when had the opening fight in the museum with the Renaissance vulture and whatnot.
Yes,
One of the observers said, "I think it's a
yes.
Banksy." Like I remember that from the first one specifically.
I'd
So
explain that one to the kids,
nice little
actually.
callback there.
And there was
But
lots of um
okay,
classic artwork MoMA jokes in there. The big the balloon,
okay, yeah,
the balloon dog.
yeah.
Yeah, very much looking forward to watching this again.
Yeah, yeah, that was great. Yeah, yeah, and very much looking forward to
Hmm.
Beyond the Spider Verse. So hopefully that doesn't get delayed in the wake of this writer's strike and all
I
these
was going to
delays that
ask
are happening. But I
if
imagine
there's
they're
a
pretty far along with
speculated or
production, like
announced
having.
release date for that.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Um, it looks like it's currently slated to release
Oh,
March
okay.
29th, 2024. So that is subject to
That's
change, but about a
about what I
year
was expecting.
away.
I was hopeful that that'd be like the end of the year, but fine. Yeah, and I think
Yeah,
this
just
one we
builds
got
up the
this one a little earlier
anticipation
than
and
they
the
were
hype a
initially
little bit
predicting
more.
too, right?
So,
Didn't they?
well, I
Yeah,
think it originally had a release date of like October, and I don't think it was like a rewrite situation. Maybe they need more time on the animation, but I really think that it'll be interesting to see what this opening box office does because projections for it were pretty high. And I think they made the right call making this more of like a summer blockbuster release. And I think it'll benefit from, kids being out of school and people being able to see it during the day. And just like us talking about going to see it again as soon as possible, people's schedules are generally a little more free in the summertime to do that kind of thing. So I think it was
yep.
a good bet and it'll pay off, but we will see. So all right. Before we get out of here, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Animation Deliberation is very grateful for our current partnership with the BlendJet. So Again, this is a product that I am super happy and grateful to have the opportunity to talk about because it's a product that I use every single day. It has the power of a blender, but it's portable and convenient. So there's not the big to do when it comes to busting out this appliance out of like a cupboard or something like that. I just keep it on top of my dresser and just grab it and go. So super convenient. So the BlendJet 2 is portable, so you can blend up a smoothie at work, a protein shake at the gym, or even a margarita on the beach. It's small enough to fit in a cup holder, but powerful enough to blast through tough ingredients like ice and frozen fruit with ease. BlendJet 2 is whisper quiet, so you can make your morning smoothie without waking up the whole house. And it lasts for 15 plus 15 plus blends and recharges quickly via USB-C. And best of all, BlendJet 2 cleans itself. Just blend water with a drop of soap and you're good to go. And I'd be remiss, sorry to use that word again, but that's just what's coming to mind here. But if I did not talk about, like, talking about Spider-Verse and just the sheer variety of art styles and characters that we got to see, that ties right into the BlendJet because they have over 30 cool colors and patterns to choose from. And as animation fans, it's pretty awesome that they have lines dedicated to some of our favorite animation franchises like Pixar. There's a whole Toy Story line. So I encourage you to check it out and pick the one that speaks to you and your fandom. And they've also recently introduced the Orbiter lid. This is a leak-proof lid, so your favorite ensemble is safe from spillage with this lid. It's got one-hand convenience. You've got your hands full. Luckily, you only need a thumb to open this lid. It's got a large opening that's perfect for thick smoothies. There's even room for a straw if that's the way you like to sip. And it's self-cleaning. Simply spin the lid and rinse. It's engineered to keep spills at bay. So what are you waiting for? Go to blendjet.com and grab yours today. And be sure to use the promo code STAYWHELM12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. No other portable blender on the market comes close to the quality, power, and innovation of the BlendJet 2. They guarantee you'll love it or your money back. Blend anytime, anywhere with the BlendJet 2 portable blender. Go to blendjet.com and use the code STAYWHELM12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. Shop today and get the best deal ever. All right. John, I open up the floor to you again. What would you like the people to know about? I will vouch for you that Captain Game Show is a wonderfully entertaining podcast. It's got great, witty games and interactivity, and it's just very evident about the amount of work that you put into it and the dedication that you have. So it's always an entertaining listen, and I've had the pleasure of appearing on it
I should
and
have
had
you
a lot
back.
of fun.
My production has slowed of late. It used to be weekly, and now it's more like I don't know, two, three
Mm-hmm.
times a month, ideally. Um, but yeah, I've
Okay.
your ad for me was better than anything I would have said. Yeah, it's a trivia, wordplay, um, improv, and every season, in addition to the games that we play on the episode, there is a hidden game that that runs through the entire season.
Mm,
Find the clues, follow the path, solve the riddle, win a
yeah.
prize. Uh, yeah, Captain Game Show on the
Mm.
Infinite Potato Alliance, anywhere you find your fine podcasts.
Right on. Yeah, I think I tried to play the hidden game a couple seasons back, and I'm not smart enough for that. I was very, very
I'll take it.
confused and very lost, but that's okay. It was still fun. So, yeah. As for me, I've been appearing on a lot of podcasts on the Stranded Panda Network. Multiverse News is a relatively new show. I'm really excited to be working with Matthew Carroll, Haley Hobbs, and Jay Sisson on that one. We drop that one weekly and talk about the latest and greatest in the world of blockbuster film news, streaming news, all that stuff. So I encourage you to check that out. And the Bingers Assemble series on the Mission Impossible films has just started. So we've got 6 films to cover before Dead Reckoning Part 1 drops in July, and that's a lot of fun. I really enjoy that team over there. So please check it out. And as far as animation deliberation goes, like I said, I'm sure my co-hosts are going to want to talk about this one soon. So I encourage you, the listeners, to send us some feedback. Animation Deliberation Podcast at gmail.com is a great place to do that. All of our social medias, just search Animation Deliberation. And, we'd like a 5-star review if you feel we're worthy of it. That'll help us. That'll help our visibility and our numbers. And if not, if you just want to share the show with an animation lover in your life, we would certainly appreciate it. So Thank you for tuning in. That's
That's
TOONIN.
all, folks.
Thank you for listening to the Animation Deliberation Podcast, a proud member of the Stranded Panda Network. If you would like to contact us, you can email animationdeliberationpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter @animationdelib1. For this and other great shows, you can visit strandedpanda.com or join the great community that is the Stranded Panda Chat Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/svchat. Tune in next time, and remember, stay whelmed.